raising children and non-duality. Okay. So let's start off with talking about what non-duality is, and then I'll merge it into speaking about raising children. Yeah. So this is the age-old question. What is non-duality? So non-duality is simple. It's this moment. It's what is happening. It's life. It's the flowers, the windows, the light, the computer, the feelings in the body, the sensations, the thoughts, the views, the plants, everything that's being experienced, the room, the wall, the floor, everything that's being experienced is non-duality. And that is who and what you are, is non-duality. So most people walk around this planet believing that who they are is a story that they're telling themselves of what's happening. So a story about their past, about their future, about what they've done, that they're a scientist, that they're a librarian, that they're a road cleaner, that they're good enough, they're better, they're lower than, they're higher than, they're rich, they're poor, they're funny, they're kind, all these different types of things which go on endlessly. If I ask someone to describe themselves, they could say many things. So it's either events, feelings, thoughts, sensations. Whereas the only thing that we've ever had, and the only thing that we really know, is this moment, is what's actually happening. And that can never be escaped. So you might try to escape this moment by constantly doing things, or going to the moon, or taking a balloon up to the clouds. You're like, yeah, I'm going to get away from my life and from this and from that. But it's actually the same, just that the views and the scenery and the appearance of it have changed. But there is the same fundamental thing, which is this moment. And this moment always has a consciousness. There's always a knowing of this moment. There is a perception of this moment. It's not like you're in deep sleep. In one way you could say you're in deep sleep, but there is also this perception that is happening, because there's also nothing happening. So there is also kind of deep sleep here. But there's this perception which is happening. And this perception is free. This perception is uncontrollable. And this perception isn't separate from that which it's perceiving. So traditionally in non-duality, they would say the whole world is consciousness. I don't know though. I mean, consciousness, that's just such a complex idea. What we know though is that there is always consciousness here. There is this moment, there's always consciousness, and there's always this sense of existence, this sense of being. So if you have awakening experience, an energetic awakening experience, what can often happen is your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas, your body, the whole world is stripped away. There might still be things, but you can't perceive that there are things here, because you've got no reporter telling you, like, there's a table, there's bad food, I like it, don't like it, I want something else. So because there's no reporter happening, it's unknowable. It's absolutely unknowable. And in those experiences, those awakening experiences, you can see, okay, so this moment and this awakeness exist prior to everything that I thought was me. So prior to my feelings, my thoughts, my contractions, my energies, my good moods, my bad moods, there's always this awakeness. We don't know what this awakeness is. We don't know who it is. We just know that that is the fundamental of experiencing, and that this awakeness is empty and full simultaneously. It's like dead, Like I said, like it's like deep sleep, but also it's a happening. Yeah. And that's really something special, isn't it? Oh my God, it's beyond something special. It is fantastic. And what happens, it seems, along this process of waking up is that there is a falling out of your story and a recognition that the fundamentals of who you are, which never change, is this moment, which is awake and has aliveness in it. And this is called an awakening experience. There is an experience that comes and goes, but what it does, the awakening experience, is it often deeply changes the personality structure and makes it a lot easier. Doesn't make it perfect, doesn't make the personality structure enlightened to me. There is no such thing to me, but it makes it easier. And there is a collapse of this seeking which used to arise, which is saying that freedom comes from my personality structure, what I imagine, what I want. So freedom comes from the obtaining of knowledge, a house, money, goods, behavior. And that collapses because there is a recognition of a freedom that is now, and that's what you truly want on the human level. And the other things are pleasurable, and I'm not saying don't go for them, but they don't last, and they're not going to one day make you arrive at a place. Yeah, baby. So that to me is non-duality. Yeah, I love that. I love it. So beautiful. So now we have to go to the other part of the title, which is raising children in non-duality. So first of all, I have to make the disclaimer to all the eggy parents out there that are like, you don't have a child. You are correct. I do not have a child. I did 10 years ago have the experience of a dog was given birth to and appeared in my reality, although it didn't come out of this body's panana, I think that's the word. It just appeared in the manifestation, like pop. And so I do have a dog. Now I know all the parents are outraged. You cannot compare. It's true. I cannot compare, but I do have somebody that call my baby. Hello, ye. Anyway. Yeah, so what do I know about raising children? And the answer is nothing. But I do know what it's like to be a child, amazingly. And maybe if I tapped into previous lives, I could remember being a parent, but we're not going to do that now because that's very esoteric and most probably will make most of you run for the hills. She believes in previous lives? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I've told you many times before that I am loopy. Sufism, I remember a quote from Rumi and Sufism. No, I don't remember the quote, but like, you know, they do the spinning and they see madness, like going mad, as like freedom. Anyway, that will be totally misunderstood. And what does that even mean? But anyway, I have no qualms with being lined up against the majority of society and being pointed out as somebody that strayed wildly from the corrective reality. But I don't see that as a bad thing. But you might do, and that's your prerogative. Anyway, so what I was going to say is that I know what it's like to be a child in this life. And yeah, I had this really amazing experience last night, which I've had lots of experiences like this, and maybe some of you can relate. I can't tell you the experience because after speaking about this for a while, it became apparent that my family weren't appreciative if I spoke about them online, so I won't go into too much detail. But I just had this experience of a trauma coming up in my body and kind of associating it to one of my parents. I've had these types of experiences before, but this one was just like really clear. And it just amazes me like how this isn't really spoken about much in psychology or much in society, the effect that parents have on their children. And this isn't about being guilty or anything, because I think a parent often has extreme bouts of feeling guilt in some way, which is ridiculous because like life is a happening. How can we really separate out your behaviors from anything else? So you will be deeply affected and ingrained in the way that your parents brought you up, so that will deeply condition you and affect you in the way that you raise your children. So these beliefs are so deep in us that even with awakening and lots of therapy, they might not all be seen. They just come with this body. And they don't necessarily need to be traumatic. They could be the way you make tea. I remember once when I was 20 or younger, I went to stay with my aunt who lives in the other side of the world, and we look alike. She's smaller than me, but we have same facial definition, and I definitely take over after my dad's side of family. She's my dad's sister. And what amazed me was how many of our behaviors were the same. So I really didn't grow up knowing that side of family. You could say I got it from my dad, but my dad was quite a bit different from my aunt. But even though I wasn't brought up with her and didn't know her, there were lots of behavioral patterns that I could see manifesting out of us, from the way that we held our drink to what drinks we selected. So that's the genetic side of it. But the other side of it is like how perceptive children are, and we don't perceive it. So I feel like most of society has some form of empathy, and then it's a gradient. So you get people that have really strong empathy and people have less. So if you grow up with parents that despise each other, but they don't let that be seen, it's like a hidden dynamic. And so they're not always despising each other, but there is like a blame on each other, like I'm unhappy because I married you. And they feel maybe stuck in that relationship or trapped in that relationship, and they're not dealing with it in a healthy psychological way. They're just suppressing it through alcohol, through work, through excessive activity. Like the idea that the child will not pick up and manifest those behaviors. If you think, okay, I don't show that stress or that discomfort to the child will still more than likely pick up with it, whether it's through genetics, like you growing in the stomach and having the same DNA as you, or through unconsciously picking up that resentment and then acting that out in its relationships when it's older. And the child will think that this is me, this is who I am, having no awareness that actually you're carrying on patterns. So this is part of the way that I believe in past lives, is that we pass on patterns. So the Buddhists don't believe in reincarnation, they believe in rebirth, and they say that patterns and habits are continued. And if you really understand non-duality, you'll see that the character is only habits and behaviors. The character isn't actually alive, so the character can't be reborn. But what can be reborn is behaviors and ideas which make up that character. Because that character is never alive. It's like a program in a computer, and then it's like the program, like a computer creating another computer with similar programming, very similar programming. And so you can be having a relationship and think that your relationship is your will, and you might have even worked on yourself lots in therapy, but there is really, really deep functioning that's happening there, which is predetermined that you pick something similar or opposite to what your family did. But the opposite in a way is similar. Like picking the opposite, it's like you might pick the opposite role. Yeah, but it's similar. So you'll be amazed if we could look at out underneath a magnifying glass. You'll be amazed at how many of these carry on. So you might think that, so say if you're in a relationship and you might think that your partner is suffocating, like they want too much attention or something, or they speak too much, and you might actually think that's real. But what if you have simply enacted one of your parents and how one of your parents felt? So you've one of your parents felt suffocated. One of your parents felt like it didn't get enough attention, so that's often a dynamic in relationships. And then you've enacted that out, believing that's your free will. And what I'm trying to point to here is, I'm not really trying to go into your psychology or point out your psychology or anything. I'm just trying to make you see how illusory everything is that you see. And everything that other people see and experience is illusory. Like, who is it that you love? Like, who is this person that, say, suffocates you or doesn't give you enough attention? That's something dynamic that happens often in relationships. Who are they? And it can be so minute in detail, this repetition of patterns, that it can go down to what you like sexually. You're most probably like, no, I certainly do not like the same as what the way my parents bonked. I certainly have a different bonking skill than them. But maybe if we looked at it, it's like really super similar. Because are you going to go and ask your parents? If you do go and ask your parents, please comment below. You don't expose them, but I'm just like having fun. So this is like questioning the fundamental sense of who you are. So what's left? If all of that goes, like every behavior, and I'm not saying that you have to get rid of those behaviors to become enlightened, because your body needs to remain conditioned, and we don't know where that conditioning comes from. Otherwise it would just fall apart and die. A plant needs to be conditioned, a dog needs to be conditioned, like things are conditioned. That's what creates their anonymity. Yeah, you sometimes have to just go with the words. I sometimes don't always get my words right. Yeah. So what's left? What's the only thing for sure that we can say that we are, and that's us, is this freaking moment, which is undefinable. Everything else is a condition that comes and goes. That you didn't get from you. You didn't like, this is me. What is you? What is you? Isn't that freaking fantastic? And I'm not suggesting becoming unconditioned. This is part of the reason that non-duality often like clashes with New Age philosophy or psychology, is because a lot of people in New Age stuff or spirituality, they are always about them becoming. And non-duality is who is going to become. The body remains conditioned. Along the journey, what happens normally is the body settles its conditioning and it doesn't go so insane, because most people believe they're real and that they are someone, that their life is real. So their conditioning begins to go insane. So through this waking up, the insanity reduces. They're still insane because it is insane. Having thoughts is insane. Thinking about this world is insane. It's got the possibility to think all different types of things. The only thing that we call sanity, which isn't really sanity, is a collective reality, a reality which we all manage to stay in. But it doesn't mean that that's real or that that's right or that that's how life is. We don't know. If we had like extrasensorial perception, we could be perceiving like light beings now. We could be perceiving like different dimensions. But because we're limited to these senses, then we say that our collective reality is the only one in the way it is. What about if you're a bee? I mean, how speciesist is it to believe that ours is the definite one that grasps reality? We have a collective reality in order to communicate, so that, I can be like, yeah, yes, I went down to the shops yesterday and the fish was on sale for, like $1.99. And then the friend goes, oh, fantastic, I'm off to get some fish for $1.99. Yeah. But that doesn't mean it's real. Even everything about your experience, your sex life, your emotional life, your private thoughts, whose are they? If you got them all from your parents, who are you? We often are like, no, my parents are over there, some far away. That's what we do to the parents. I am different. I'm of this generation. Let's get out this microscope. No, magnifying glass. There is lots of similarities there. So the way you like your cup of tea, is that really you, or is that your parents, or is that your grandparents, or your great-grandparents, or your great-great-grandparents? Great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents. What about the way you kick a ball? What about the way you go to the toilet? I'm sure all of us have very private ways in which we go to the toilets. I've got some that squeeze, some that try and relax, some readers, some that take 2 hours, some blasters, some quick in, out, wham, bam, thank you, man. Autonomy is one of the biggest lies in our society. That there is a separate soul in here. Your essence is this moment. It's all you ever have. Like, don't let society and life take that from you. It's all you ever have. And that's your freedom, that's your joy, that's your juice. Like, I am this, you are that. Oh, that doesn't make sense. We are this. This is it. But not we as in like some form of imagination, or I as in some form of imagination. I'm talking like viscerally, like bam, bam, bam. I do like doing faces. And I do feel like, as a society, we restrict facial gestures because of people's insecurity. But why not? Why can't that be part of our expression? I'm so excited, like that's the expression that comes, as you can most probably tell by the way that I express. I get so excited because I love it, I love it, I love it. And the reason that I love it, and I'm not meaning to blow my own trumpet, which is such a fantastic idea, like I'm not meaning to blow my own trumpet, but it's because it's coming from a deeper place than who I think I am or what I want you to think me to be. Like, I'm not trying to get you to think of Lisa in a certain way, and a lot of people are doing that. This is why they get so crazy. They're like, got to behave in a certain way, got to behave, I mean, obviously, to an extent, I'm doing that because I'm formulating like articulate sentences, I think. So there is some form of communication and some form of self-awareness that's happening, but it's not the main goal. The main goal is like expressing love. Like it's like my heart is like, boom, boom, boom. And I'm not meaning to blow my own trumpet and sit here on my throne with all my board games behind me being like, beep, beep, I am better than you. That's actually so painful and not my desired outcome. My desired outcome is to express love. And then the fact of what happens on the other side, I'm sorry, but I'm not sure if I'm that interested. I want you to feel love and experience love, but in this moment, that's very abstract. The most poignant thing here is an expression of love from this moment, which is what I am, like it wants to express through this body, like love, 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 like in the words, like a river coming out of like golden, like juicy, lovely things. Yeah. Like I don't even know who you are in this moment. That's abstract. I'm sitting here looking at a box with a camera sat on top, and then behind that there is these windows and a tree and another tree and a house and some windows. And there is the Queen. There is EE, the Queen. Okay, calm down. I've got overexcited. The character has got overexcited. Like a child on Christmas Day when it opens up a massive box. Except my massive box, that's nothing in it. I'm like, Okay. I'm gonna have to calm down. Calm myself. Calm myself. Just looking at the birds, they're so sweet. They're eating out of the bird feeder. Okay, so we should move on to questions.